It's Sunday. Let's rock!
Join the team.
Alright, hey team, this is the McGuire review, and we're going to look at a game that I've been playing a lot recently. It's been out for a while, but I am a big fan of this game. I'm actually a big fan of a lot of the Games Workshop Space Marine Adventure games. I've got quite a few of them. Well, actually, this one here, Crypt Hunters, is an Age of Sigmar game, but I do have these Space Marine Adventures as well. We're going to be doing a video where we look at a few of the different types of games that have come out from a boxed game perspective or a board game that's come out of Games Workshop. And this is one that I have really enjoyed. I've had it for a while, and I just hadn't had the time to play it, and I started playing it, and I'm like, oh my god, I love this game. I really like the way that it's designed, and I like this type of game as well. And what this is essentially an area defense game. So you're going to be on the board, you're going to get these awesome Warhammer miniatures, and you're going to be able to try to defend these various different points on the board that are trying to keep this weapon up and operational. And if you're able to do that and withstand all of the waves that are coming from all of your orc army here, then you can win the game. So it is kind of a last Marine standing type situation. To be able to win, you do have to take out all of the orc army that is for that particular difficulty that you're playing. And there are 4 different difficulties. We'll go through those here in a minute. And if you're able to withstand the whole wave, take out essentially every single one of the chips that are in play, whether it's on board or it needs to come into the board, then you win the game. There's a number of ways you can lose the game. We'll talk about those things here in a second. But before we hit that, this is, again, Space Marine Adventures, Rise of the Orks. Again, it's from Games Workshop. This is a Warhammer branded board game. Age is 10 plus, 30 minutes. Another thing I like about this, these boxed version games, you can go through in a short period of time. It's also 1 to 5 co-op play, so you can solo this game as well. If you do like to do solo titles, this one is a perfect solo game. And one of the things that's great about the fact that it is solo, a lot of these games where you have to control multiple characters and it's solo can get kind of bogged down. The way these are designed is it's very easy to play all of the characters, and you will always play all the characters in this game. I've played this game a number of times. I operate all 5 of the Space Marines. It is as easy as it gets. So I like to see that in these co-op games where it is possible for a single player to solo more than one character. You'll find that a lot in games where it's like, it's solo, we made it a solo mode. But it's like impossible to keep everything straight in your head because you're trying to orchestrate so many different actions and so many different things across multiple characters. They do it right in these board games here. Okay, we'll see there on the back they've got some artwork of the game as well as some of the character cards, and you will be assembling the miniatures in this game, and that's something to know as well. With Warhammer or Age of Sigmar or any of the Games Workshop games, that is more from the hobby side of things. So, people may want to paint these. I may paint these as well in time. I have a number of other models that I do have painted. And it's built here, Bear, if you hold that. It's building them as well, which is part of the hobby and I think part of the fun. So for a low price point, we'll start there in this review. All of these board game boxed editions, we'll call them, do come at a fairly low price point. You're getting everything that you see here on the table, minus the coffee mug, obviously. These are generally going to be the $39.99 to $44.99 price point for these boxed Games Workshop board games. Now, there are ones that are bigger, like Space Hawk and various other ones that are going to carry a heftier price tag. But these just straightforward boxed board games are going to be that $39.99 to $49.99 price range. This is what I've seen even in full retail. So you're getting this for a pretty low price point for everything that you're getting. The quality of everything is really high. The token quality is nice and thick and high. The cards are a nice, thicker material. They're not cardboard, but they're definitely a higher, thicker material. The cards are always very, very thick Very quality cards in these games. Very, very thick quality cards. It's almost like a thicker card stock, almost like a thick business card is what you're going to get with these cards, as well as the artwork is just fantastic throughout the whole game. The boards are always high quality and extra thick with a really nice print on them. There's always the right number of components that are included, whether it's little aids or the cards here to show what each one of the difficulties are, or little pieces that are used to draw lines of sight. All of that stuff is always included, and you have just everything that you need, and they've never put more in the box than what's necessary to be there. That's why they can put it in a nice small form factor, and it's easy to travel, and there's just not chits everywhere all over the board that you have to track and figure out. They pick a gameplay style, they stick to that gameplay style very well, and I feel like all of their boxed board games have executed that selected board game style to the T. Okay, so we've hit some of the value here. The price of the board game is on the lower side. The models that you get, you're not getting any higher quality models in this in about any board game that you can buy. This is Games Workshop level miniatures and models. You will pop them out of sprues, so that's just something to know. You will pop them out of sprues. You don't need glue. I did glue mine, but they do not require glue. I did put a little glue on mine just because that's what I always do with these models. But they are push-fit models. They will snap together, and even without glue, they'll stay together forever. Okay, the snap fit is very tight. They go together perfect. They look awesome. And, you know, they have so much detail, and because they've chosen a different color plastic for each one of them, you know, that aligns directly with the pictures right on the card with the color and everything as well, that you know exactly who is who. So that's not a problem. If you do want to paint them, you can. I will just say, if you are, versed at doing miniature painting, you'll have no problem here. These are highly detailed, so you may just want to put one color and a little bit of wash or a little bit of dry brush, or you may just want to go all in on them and get in on the hobby of miniature painting. But if you want to, there's another value that's added in the box. I will also add one more piece of value before we get into the game, which is all of these models can dub in your Warhammer 40K game if you want to use them in that, and if you play Warhammer 40K. These are models that can go right into your armies that you can either proxy in, or they're models that specifically are individual unique models that come with their own rule sets, that now you have the model and you can use that. There's been a number of Games Workshop games, Gore Chosen, we're going to take a look at that as well here on the channel, which have models in it that are worth significantly more than what you would have paid for the actual box version of the game. So that's another little cool extra bonus that you get with these Warhammer 40K or Age of Sigmar, any of these Games Workshop games. The models in the board games sometimes are worth substantially more than what they're asking for the price of the game. And you will have some model collectors that will literally just buy the boxed board game to get the models, and that's all they're interested in. That's why sometimes you'll hear from reviews, oh, and it also comes with an awesome game. So there's a lot of value that's kind of packed into the Games Workshop stuff. And I challenge that you take a look at that. If you're into this stuff, that you're going to find a lot of value from the items that they're making and releasing. Okay, we will start to go through kind of a holistic view of the game here. If you see the board, there are a number of ways that you can lose. We talked about the way that you win. Basically, you take out everything that's in that scenario. So there'll be a specific number of these tokens, which is the Orc army, which will be needed for whatever type of difficulty you play. You have to take them all out. All the ones that are out in the pool and all the ones that are on the board. Once every Orc is taken out, you win this scenario. Okay, and you're just going to have to it's this onslaught wave after wave. How do you lose? Well, on the board there are these locations, and there's these little, we'll just call them kind of power generators. And the Orcs are going to try to get to those and break them. And they can do that if they get to these little red spaces on the board that are attached to those tokens. Once they move there, they can use their attack action, and they can bust it and break it. Once all 6 of those around the board are busted, then you will lose the game. Okay, that's a way that you can lose. Another way you can lose is if, in fact, your we'll call this your death tracker here, moves down to 0. And how that happens is every single time a model gets taken out in the game, which means they lose all the health on their card, they will go down, and in the next turn, they'll actually be able to come back up. No one actually technically dies. You'll get the model back on the next turn, and then that model just comes back with 1 health point, and then you have to either heal them, over the course of the game back up, or they just have 1 health point for the rest of the game. So just a way to keep the game going for all of the Marines. You will come back with that 1 point of health. Now, you only have 1 point, so you're going to want to get back to this central area here in the middle. Everything that is marked green on the board, if you end your turn there, if you stay there, you can gain 1 health point or 1 healing point over the course of that turn. And everybody will only activate within each turn. Okay, so that's how you can lose the game. It's either your grit tracker here goes all the way down, which means you've had 1, 2, 3 of your Marines fall during that period of time, or your reactors are all taken out. And that's how you can lose. And on the harder levels of this game, which I'm going to recommend most people play at just as standard, that's not an easy task to be able to accomplish that. Okay, let's hit all of our components here, and then we're going to get into what gameplay actually looks like. So in looking at the rulebook, and I've always been impressed with the Games Workshop rulebooks. They're done really well. Again, because, and I'm going to say this in a number of reviews going forward, these games just try to be everything and anything and have just every rule you can possibly have. Just get out of here with that. It's just... It causes more anxiety to try to play those games, and just playing a game that has a very straightforward rule set, and it's the mechanic that it's trying to emphasize is just done well. That to me is a good, fun game that hits the table over and over and over again. And that's what we have here in Rise of the Orcs. The rule book is very straightforward, high color, lays everything out. There's your setup, just a couple pages. You get into the rules of the game and how to play, and there's a really cool little flow chart here that you'll also find on the back. The game is so easy, the way it's designed. You've got literally 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of rules, and that's it. Then back here, you have the special rules for some of the special orcs that are in the game. We'll talk about those. They only come out in one version of the game. Otherwise, you're just going to have the standard orcs. And then there's a few things about the supply tokens that you're going to be able to get on the board as well. We'll hit that when we talk about our supply token component. And then there's a little chart that shows you, based on where the grit tracker is, like how well did you win the game. You win the game if you hit the win condition we spoke about. But if, depending on how many power reactors you still have at the end, and depending on how many grit tracker location, they're going to give you like some more honorable type mentions for the win, which I think is something that's fun as well. There's another thing in here that's really fun I want to call out. Okay, you will then get a nice little piece of lore. This is another thing that I think is cool about these games, is they'll add in a little bit of lore that you may not find elsewhere. So that's kind of cool. You get a little lore there from the Warhammer 40k universe. There's a hero of the Vertex. It shows each one of the heroes, a little bit of background, each one of the different codexes that those Space Marines are going to hail from. That's another reason why I like these Space Marine Adventures games. You get different Space Marines from different codexes. Whereas, you get the Salamanders here, you get... there's the Space Wolves and on and on. There's different ones, Ultramarines. So there's different codexes of Space Marines, and you get one of each of them there, which is pretty cool. We'll go here. There's an assembly guide, so there is a guide to show you how to assemble those miniatures. As you can see, they're pretty straightforward. There isn't that many pieces for each one of them, and you do have some options for head style when you do put them together. There's 2 different types of heads that are included for each model. I went with the traditional, how it is here in the book. That's the setup that I went with. I just thought it was the coolest. But in Space Marine Adventures, I went with a little bit of a different, my other Space Marine Adventures here, I went with a little bit of a different setup with the head style, and it's either pretty much the helmet's on, or just the face with maybe some mechanical pieces and an eyepiece or something like that. So that's pretty cool that they do give you a little bit of variation there as you're building your model to see if you want it to look a little bit different. Then on the back, we've got a really cool flow chart there of the game. Again, you don't even need this. The game is so simple, but it's nice that it's there. The one thing that I do think I've used quite a bit is this right here, where it lists off the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 special orc that are included in the game that add some actual abilities. Most of these other orcs just have a movement speed, an attack speed, and a toughness, which you can see is like their armor pretty much. And those things are listed right out on the chip, which makes it super easy. You just look at the chip and you can see movement, attack, and toughness. Now that will modify if they are under cover. We'll talk about that here when we get to the gameplay, but it's that easy. You just look at the chip. And those things are on the more special orcs as well. They're printed on there, but their special ability obviously is not. So you have to come here and see, oh, what's the Big Mech do? What's the Pain Boy do? The War Boss? What are the different types of actions they'll be able to take? And really it's just more about, depending on where they're positioned on the board, if there are other orcs that are around them, they will affect those orcs in different ways. So it will take it, maybe harder to kill the orcs, or maybe the orcs get extra attacks if they're near one of these more boss level orcs. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. You will see most of the chips that I have here are those special ones that I have, and then these are all the other standard orcs that are going to be in the game. We'll take a look at this one here as an example. This is Brother Sergeant Angelus, the kind of leader of our squad here. And every card looks the same. They will have the information right here that will just be what their attack is going to be. Whenever it is a Space Marine's turn, they will get to move and attack. And they can do that in any order. They can attack, then move, or move, then attack, but they can move and attack. Their attack is going to be signified right here in this area if it isn't just a standard roll a die and attack and beat the toughness and you win. And it is that simple. For the most part, there's some things that are different to do change some things. There's the command order. That is the order that the Space Marines are going to take their turns. So that is always going to be the same. When it is the Space Marine's turn, you're not going to say, oh, well, I want to go Brother Stormheart, then I want to go Angelus, then I want to go, then I'll go Magnus. You have to go in the order that's signified on the card. One thing I think is cool about this, and I hope we see more, is that the numbers on the card of command order go from 9 to 1, but obviously there's numbers that are skipped because there's only 5 models. So why'd they do that? Why didn't they just go 9, 8, just go within a series of 5 because there's 5 models? Well, I'm hoping it's because they're going to release an expansion with some more models in time that this can be used for. And possibly they have, and it's been in like the White Dwarf magazine where maybe they have, I don't know, but I do hope that they release like an actual boxed expansion for this game in the future at some point. That would be really cool. Okay. Then there's going to be the move value. That's how far this model can move. Now, for instance, this one just says move 1, which you would think, oh, all that he can do is just go, okay, he can move 1 space. Well, his special ability is he can move up to 3 times on his turn and attack up to 3 times on his turn in any order that you want to do those. So I could move 1, attack 1, move 2, attack 2 more times. Like, I can do that however I want. So this model is very versatile. However, this model has to be in melee combat. He cannot take any ranged shots. So he's got to be in melee. So you're going to want to probably keep him somewhere near one of the spawn points where he can get in and do some real damage. That's going to be his. And then at the very bottom, you're going to see the health tracker, 0 to the skull, or 0 to 6. They all have the exact same amount of health, and you're just going to move that health down every time you get hit by one of the orcs. We'll talk about that there in gameplay. And that's what the cards look like. They're that straightforward. They're that simple. And yes, each one of the Space Marines does have a unique ability. So when you first play, we talked a little bit about that one person controlling all of the models or all the Space Marines. That's the only thing at the very first game you're gonna have to remember. Okay, this guy, but it's written right here. After you play literally 2 rounds, I promise you, after you play 2 rounds within a game, you're going to know exactly how those Space Marines act and attack. It really is straightforward and simple. And it's very intuitive based on how their model is designed. This guy's got a rocket launcher. He does rocket stuff. And missile barrages. This guy's got a big hammer. He's all melee. This guy's got a huge, machine bolt bolt guns, so he's going to be able to take a bunch of hits. This guy's got a flamethrower. This guy's got a bolt gun. He's got a couple attacks. It's very, very straightforward and intuitive. That's what every one of these cards is going to look like. You are going to get a little token that you can put on your sheet to track your health over the course of the game. Okay? So we talked about the tokens. We talked about the cards. We're going to hit this here. There are 4 versions of the game, or 4 difficulties. I won't say versions. There are 4 difficulties of the game that is included here. I almost want to say that the commander difficulty almost is a different version of the game because it introduces all 5 of the extra special orcs. You're not going to get those special orcs until you go all the way to the commander level. Okay? So you got novice. This is basically, do this version if you want to just, like, the first time you've ever played, or you're going to play with kids, play it on novice. Okay? Easiest way to introduce the rules. If you are even remotely good at a game like this, you're going to dominate this game on novice level, and I do not recommend playing it on novice level past maybe 1 game to introduce it to somebody, and or playing it with children. Okay? It's the only reason I would play a novice level. It's just too easy, and it's designed that way to be that way as an introduction to the rules. Then you will have the warrior level, you will have the veteran level, as well as the commander level. My recommendation is, once you've learned the game and played it, if you're even remotely good at these kind of games, you've played these type of games before, just go ahead and skip the novice level, go right to warrior and or veteran, because you'll have a much better play experience when you're playing the game. Okay? And each one of them just step up a little bit. The wave will increase, whereas for the easiest version, you have 5 orcs coming out at once. When it's the Orc Wave, where when you go all the way to commander, you have 9 orcs coming out in a wave. So there's a big difference between the amount of wave of orcs. There's also a difference in the orcs that are included. When you play at the novice level, you're only getting the boys, noobs, and commandos. Whereas, let's say you go past the warrior up to the veteran, you get the boys, noobs, commandos, Burna Boys, and the mega noobs. And you get more of each one of them. So not only will your wave be higher, so there's more orcs coming out at you at once, you also will have a larger pool of orcs that you need to defeat to win the game. Because remember, you got to beat all of those orcs. Every orc token that's on the board and in the pool has to be defeated to win the game. That is the win condition for this game. You are going to have the supply drop tokens, which are right here, and they'll be placed around the board everywhere there's one of these little yellow and black striped tiles. You're going to put one of these supply tokens. And when you land on a supply token or move through a supply token, you'll be able to pick up some of these supply drop cards. And you will pick up 2 of them, and then you'll look at them and you'll decide which one you want to keep. Some of these, and the artwork is just absolutely fantastic. Bear will get some shots of this artwork. The artwork is just nuts on the back of these cards. It's so cool. Every time I turn one over, I'm like, oh, sweet. Like, you get another piece of really cool artwork. Okay? The abilities that you get are very straightforward. And some of them apply to just specific Space Marines, and some of them can be used for any of them. Okay, so let's see. Actually, the ones that I picked up here, Brother Lucian only, Brother Etres only. So these are the ones where they're going to be only able to be used for certain Marines. Some of them, like this one, Targeted Fire, you can play this card after any Terminator misses an attack. So if I get one of these cards that applies to anybody, I will set it right here at the bottom, and I'll have a few of them cards at the bottom that can apply to anybody. Or if it's for someone specific, like this is for Lucian, then I'll set it right next to Lucian right there. Or, that's how I'll do it when I'm playing by myself. I'll just kind of set it around where they're directly linked. That way, when I get to this character and I'm playing, I can say, okay, is this usable for this turn or my situation? Not really. And once you use it, it's done. It's kind of a one and done sort of deal. You just burn it, you put it in the stack, and then you've used it. So that's how the supply drop cards are going to work. Very straightforward, very easy, and it's always stuff, and it's really simple stuff like, you missed, you can take another shot. Or after one of these other guys go, you get to pick someone else on the board to take one attack or move. It's things like that just give you a little bit of an extra edge on movement or attack or positioning that can help you round to round. So that's what the supply cards are gonna be. You know, I play these games, I like to sort of play them to test mechanics as well. I've played the game where I just go after these supply card drops as much as I can. And again, you only get one shot because there's only so many of them that are on the board. And once you go to an area, and let's say this one was still here, once you move to an area and you take that supply drop token, it's done. I can't like go back here later and then, oh, I've landed on a supply drop area and get another 2 cards to choose from. So you're limited for every game on which ones you shuffle these at the beginning. So you're limited to every game of which extra special abilities you're going to be pulling out of this deck and getting in. There are a few in here that are very powerful, a little bit different than just your standard. You get an extra attack. So some games you get that cool stuff, and some games you don't. Like I said, some damn games. And some games you don't, which I like that aspect as well, that it limits how many supply drops you get. You know, and if you think about it, it's kind of like like real life. Like there's only so many supply drops you're going to be able to get your hands on. So that's pretty cool, and that's how those tokens and cards all work. We've already gone over this stuff. We've already gone over the tokens that mark the reactors on the board, and we've already gone over the models. So we've hit every single thing in the game except for these 2 last pieces. You do have a single 6-sided die, which you'll be able to roll, and this will dictate how you're able to get your hits when you're attacking things. It will also be used to randomize where the orcs spawn from when it is the orc spawn period of the game or phase of a round. This right here is used for drawing line of sight. Line of sight is very simple in this game. As long as you have a straight line and you can see something, you can shoot it and attack it. Unless you are this guy right here, which has to be in melee range. But anybody else, you can draw that line and you can see him. You can be positioned here, and an orc can be positioned here. And you know what? You can see him. You can throw that flame and you can hit him. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. It's that simple. There is cover in the game, so if any point in time you go from a center base of a model to a center base of another model or a token in this instance, you know, how cool would it be if you had a Warhammer 40k orc army and you could proxy in your orc figures for these tokens? Oh man, that would be cool. That would be cool. All right, so you go from model to model. And if you can draw a straight line, and that straight line there, that little laser green line, doesn't cross over any of these black hex spaces. Now, those are barriers. Those are walls within sort of this complex that you cannot shoot or see through. Okay? So if any point in time that line crosses over like a tip or an edge, or you may be able to still get a line from one hex into another and you can still fire. But if that line crosses over in any way, then that model is undercover. But you still have to sort of be able to make any line from the hex to that hex. Whereas I couldn't shoot a model that was here with this guy because I cannot get that in any way without, in any way can that piece get attached to this piece. I have to... I can't do that anyway. So that's completely blocked and it's out of sight, right? So that's how line of sight is going to work. When you set up the game, you're going to have a number of these orcs, pretty much your wave amount, that's going to be already on the board. And all of your Marines are going to be, all your Marines are going to be in this green area here, okay? Which again, you can always go back to and end your movement to gain a point of health. All right, so we'll just set them out here randomly for demo purposes. Then what you're going to do is you're going to pick up the number of these tokens and you're going to do a deployment wave for orcs. That's the first phase of a round. So let's just say we were playing veteran, okay? Our wave total would be 8. So we'd pick up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's going to be completely random. You're not going to look at them. And then you're going to roll this die for each one of them, and that is going to indicate which one of the spawn points around the board, 1 through 6, do those orcs pop up. And hopefully, we definitely will get the example, and I'll be able to show you what happens if you get the same spawn point twice. So it says 6. So boom, just flip it over. That's the one that goes on 6. You go next, 1. That's what goes on 1. Next. Okay, we got another 1. Double ones, my favorite on a D6. So there's already somebody on the spawn point. Uh-oh, what do we do? Well, you just place the next one as close as you can to that one. And then once you get out to here, like if I got another one, I could place it here, or I could place it here, and that would be my choice as a player to put which one of those spawn points I'd want to do. Okay, so now we go on. Now we got fours down here. We go here, another one. Okay, there we go. So I have the example to go here, here, and I'm gonna go right here. Is what I'm gonna do. Okay, and then we go here, and that's a 5. 5 is here, and then we go again. That's a 2 right there, and for our final one, it's a 3, which is right there. So nice. We got a pretty nice even spread around the board. A little bit of a clump of them here. Those clumps are really good for Brother Stormheart because he's got the missile barrage, but it's just not near him. That's another thing I like about this game is that your movement is significantly limited. The movement is actually only about 2. Well, I say about because this guy has 1 on his card, but he really has 3 because of his special action. Everybody else has 2 movement, so that's not very far on this board. Yes, granted the board's not that big, and if you get positioned right, you can take that shot. Right? They're usually going to be under cover for a shot that's long like that. But the movement is small, so his movement is 2. And this is a problem, and he would be best for that because whatever he targets, he can kind of hit everything else around it with his missile barrage. Well, 1, 2. Okay? I'm nowhere near him. Right? And I've got walls in my way everywhere that I can't actually hit him. So that's one of the things that does make this game very this is where we talked about these games that target this type of gameplay and mechanic and do it really well. One of the reasons why it's done really well is because you have to really think tactically, turn to turn, move to move. Where do I get this Marine positioned that's going to benefit other people as well as be able to get me to be able to take something off the board? Every single turn you need to be taking something off the board if you can, if you really want to win the game. So how can I get positioned when I only have 2 movement? It's just, so that's one of the things I think is done really well. I like the fact that movement is massively restricted. Another way that movement is massively restricted is you cannot move through another Space Marine. You can shoot through a Space Marine. You cannot move through a Space Marine. And that is a very big restriction as well to movement, and it forces a lot of I'll say strategic tactical, that's even a thing. It forces a lot of tactical strategery when you're on the board because you can't move through people. So if you're positioned like this and you want to get this guy over here and the turn before it, you might have moved this person here, that's not going to work. You're going to have to now move around this outside and take the long way, or this person's going to have to get a turn again and move out of the way so then he can move down. So you really need to think about your movement when you're playing the game, because if you don't, you're going to trap the other Marines when it's their turn, and they're not going to be able to efficiently take things out on the board. Now maybe, you can't get to an Orc, so you go on a supply run, right? Which would also be beneficial, but I'd like to go on a supply run and try to take out an Orc on my turn if I possibly can, right? That's another thing about movement. It is very simple. You're just going to get to move and attack. We already talked about that, so it's that straightforward. So we're through the Orc deployment phase. Now we're going to get into the Space Marine action phase. Then we're going to end with the Orc phase. So we're just going to take that for our demo. This is going to be for our gameplay. So again, we have to start, and I'm going to get all these out of the way, okay, off this card, because I was actually playing the game earlier today before I decided to shoot this video. And it is kind of a on the spur kind of thing because I was already playing the game and I already had it out here. So I'd go ahead and turn on the camera and tell everybody about another awesome game that I play that I think is well worth folks' investment. Okay, so now we're going to do the Space Marines. Again, we got to go right down the row here, starting with Sergeant Angelus. He can move 3 times, attack 3 times. Okay. Now, this is where we're going to start looking at the board. Let's get all these flipped over as well, because nothing's broke at this point. And let's go ahead and get all of our, let's get all these on, set it up right, get all these on the board. Okay, they're there. All right, we've got our veteran, we've got our cards. Let's go ahead and shuffle our cards back in, so, who knows what happens here during this little quick demo of play. So those are all ready to go. Now, and this is what you have to think about what happens in the Orc Wave. Upon the Orc Wave, the Orcs are going to move and they're going to attack. And they're either going to attack one of these reactors or they're going to attack a Space Marine. They're going to get to a Space Marine first if they can. However, this one right here is dangerous because this spawn point is literally 2 movements from a destruction. So he's already almost right on top. Now he has to get in this space to destroy it. He can't destroy it from here. He has to be in the red space. So he's only 3 from it, and upon his next turn, he's going to go 1, 2, and he's going to be ready. So I need to keep him somewhere in range that I can get to this spot and melee this one on the next round. Okay, so that's where you're always going to be thinking at least what's going on in this round and what's going to happen when I get into the next round. So you're always thinking about 2 rounds, never further than that, because anything further than that, you have no idea what's going to happen. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and that'll put me 1, 2, 3. Okay, that'd be great positioning for the next one. Swing around and hit him, and I have up to 3 hits, so I can just waylay on this guy until I kill him. And combat is as simple as I roll a die, and all I have to do, there's nothing here that says you do this much damage. All I have to do is look at this little chip, and the last little icon is looks like a tethered sort of shirt. That's the toughness of this unit. It says 4, which is a tougher standard unit. All that means is I have to roll this die and I have to get a 4 or greater, and it's dead. These only have 1 hit point. They're gone.
You hit them, they're dead.
Now, if he was in cover, I would add 1 to that toughness. So cover just gives you 1 extra armor, okay? And it's not for the Marines. It's for the Orcs. Orcs are the ones that get the bonus from cover. When it comes to Orcs damaging Marines, there is no defense. They just, whatever damage they do, you just take that damage, okay? So that's another thing that I like about the game is that you have to think about that round to round. Depending on where I leave this Marine, if they don't make the kills they need to make, I could be in trouble next round because I could get swarmed by Orcs and they're just going to do damage to me, okay? So again, it forces that mechanic of strategically thinking about those little tactical moves and where I want to position my Marines. And I'm going back and forth between, is it tactics or strategy? It is strategic, but it doesn't really go any further than 2 rounds. So it really is more of just round-to-round tactics, okay? So I'm going to roll this die. First attack. Ooh, a 5. Just crushed him on the first attack. It's done. You take the token, you set it right there, and it's over. It is over for this model because I used all 3 of my movement points to get there. I do have 2 more attacks available to this model, but there's nothing else to attack, so I'm done. Next brother here. Brother Magnus. Brother Magnus. Okay, Brother Magnus has a movement of 2. Brother Magnus has a very special ability where anything that is in a straight line in front of him, he basically just throws up a wall of flame, just a wall of flame, and just lights him up. And I mean, he can kill an entire row of Orcs if you get that positioning just right. He's a very, very powerful model. You generally want to keep him around these areas. I generally keep him positioned right here when I play, and as those Orcs plow out of here, I just hose them with the flamethrower. He also has an ability, because of that flamethrower, to lower everyone's toughness or armor by 1 to a minimum of 2. So really all I need is a 2 on most models, and I can kill an entire row of Orcs. So in this instance, it's not going to go around this corner. If we had another phase, all of these would move, and I could control sort of their movements, their 1-2 movements. In this instance, this one would go this way because it would go. You always want to kind of get to the reactors or a model. Priority is the Marine, but in this case, this one would move out, and then these would kind of move in. So I could get more of them at once, but for this setup, I can only hit this one. So I just need a 2 because it's a 3. My flamethrower's lowering it, and I got a 3, and that's awesome. I didn't even need the reduction. I got the 3. Is dead. Okay. I'm not going to move this hero, and I am ending my turn on the green. However, and let's just say he already took damage, so, you know, because I did on the last game, so I just healed up. Now I'm in 1, almost back to full health. Awesome. Okay. Now, Brother Lucian has a double bolt action, so he can take 2 attacks, and he can move up to 2. So I think what I'm going to do is, if I move here to get a supply drop, I've now blocked myself completely from taking a shot at this one. I have blocked myself completely to a shot at this one, so I don't want to do that. Can I do 1, 2? Nope, I still can't get it. So you know what I'm going to do? I am going to actually back up 1, 2, so I'm closer to healing. And where's his health? He is down by 1. I can still take a long shot all the way to this model. There is nothing blocking and it's not in cover. That is a heavier one, a 4. And I have 2 actions for him. I have 2 attack actions per his special ability. So first action, ooh, it's a 5. Yes, all right, he's done. Took him out, first shot. As he... Okay, don't even need to use that second one, and I can't because nothing else is within my field of view. Okay, now we're going to go to Brother Etre here, and this one, let's see, if I stay here, this is what I'm going to try to see if I can do. I'm going to see if I can get back to this supply drop and still take a shot at this one here. So I'm going to move the model for a second. From the center of this to the center of this... wow, that is not in... Hang on. Is it getting... No. Hang on. I can do it. I can actually do it, and it's not in cover at all. I can get to this, and I can take a shot here, and it is not in cover because of how this is positioned. That straight line goes right through without touching any of the, without going through any of these edges. So there is no cover. Perfect. He is right there. He is going to take his 2 movement back. 1, 2. He's going to grab this supply drop it. I'm going to pull 2 cards. Again, you always pull 2, then you pick 1. We got targeted fire that's basically for anybody. Pretty much means if you miss, you can attack again. No, I'm sorry. The miss attack counts as having hit instead. You can play this for any Terminator who misses an attack. That's probably what I'm going to go with. And the other one here is specific to this model, which is the Righteous Strength. You can play this card before Brother Sergeant Angelus attacks. Treat the next Orc token Brother Angelus targets as being toughness of 2. This is going to drop that armor. You know what? I'm going to go with this one because it can be used for any Space Marine, and it basically just says if you miss, you hit if you want to use it. So I'm going to set that right down at the bottom here, and that's going to be my bottom row that applies to anybody that I'm playing with. And then this model, Brother Etre, has a 3 attack, so he's just unloading. So for that first attack, I got to hit a 3 or better, and that's a hit. I am rolling phenomenal today. Down with the orc goes, and that is a kill for Brother Etre. Yeah! I'm going to wrap this up with the Brother Stormheart's turn. Now, he has a special ability where if a orc target is at least 3 spaces away, anything that is adjacent to that orc, even if it is out of sight, can be hit. His special ability also says that nobody gets cover. Okay? So it doesn't reduce their cover. They don't get cover, like when he attacks. So it, like his missiles can just attack and zoom, right? Now you have to be within line of sight. You have to be able to actually, can't be standing behind a wall unless you're doing the missile barrage. It's part of that first part of his special ability. They don't get cover. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 1, 2, and we're going to get right. You know what? We're not going to do that. And the reason is because this orc is going to be able to move 2 on its turn, and I don't want it to be in range. So I'm just going to move 1, and that's good enough. Now, normally to hit this, I would be crossing, because now in this situation, going center to center, it is crossing a little bit over this black wall hex here. So that is going to cause cover, but because of his special ability, there is no cover for this orc. It will take full damage from Brother Stormheart. And he is now going to attack. He just gets 1 attack. unless you got his little special ability here. We got others that are adjacent. We don't have that situation. So 1 attack. We need 3 or better. Come on, hit him with that missile. And that's a 4. That's a kill. Okay, Stormheart is now done with his action, and he's well positioned. Now, the reason why I did that and didn't move up a little further is because if I would have missed upon the Orc activation, which we're going to do right now, which is the last phase of a round, that Orc would have been in range to then do direct damage to this Marine. Okay, so Marines are looking good at this point. Nobody is in range. So the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to prioritize who moves, and that really just comes down to as simply as who is the closest to something they can damage. That's who's going to go first. So in this case, we only have this one, which is a few spaces from this. So this one's going to go first. It's going to go 1, 2. It does have an attack action, but there is nothing to attack. Again, you can't just attack this adjacently. You have to be in the red spot to take it out. Okay, so that's perfect for us. No damage has been done yet. Then what we're going to do is this is going to move. Let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 from that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 from that, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from a Space Marine. So really, in this situation, I can choose to move this way, or I can choose to move this way. I'm going to choose to move this way because as the player, I have the choice to do that. And the reason why I'm going to choose that is because that sets me up for that player, for that Orc to be in my line of fire to Brother Magnus upon my next round of the game. And again, I'm playing by the rules, and the rules say that the player can indicate that if there's an equal distance. So 1, 2, they move. No, this guy moves 3 actually. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. And this one moves 2. So we're just going to go 1, 2. And that's how we're going to do it. Now, upon the next round of the game, I've got a line here of a couple Orcs that I can take out. Right? And that's going to be the Orc activation. Then you're going to start the round again, and you're going to pick up 8 more of these tokens, and again, roll and repopulate all your spawn points. So now you're going to have more Orcs on all your spawn points, as well as any Orcs that were left from that prior round. So you can see that over the course of the game, you are going to start to get swarmed by these Orcs, and you're really going to have to use good tactics to be able to take out as many as you possibly can round to round. And that's why I love Space Marine Adventures Rise of the Orcs by Games Workshop. It's a very, very well executed, well done game. Congratulations on this title. Excellent work with this game. I really, really enjoy it. And team, if you do see this game in the stores, I did get mine from Barnes & Nobles, but if you do see this game in the stores, I highly recommend you pick up a copy and get into the Warhammer 40K. So hit that like, hit the subscribe button to join the team. Keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.